Cosmic laws, cause and effect. Cause and effect is one of the great laws of the universe. The significance of this law, unlike any other divine statutes, is that its manifestation in the world and throughout the cosmos is not diminished by man's misuse or non-use. Whether humankind works with this law for good or willfully resists this law, every thought, emotion, and action creates an effect, positive or negative. Even neutral thoughts, ambivalence, apathetic emotions, and inactions, sins of omission, have consequence, or produce effects after their kind. Those effects will determine other causes and other effects, one after the other, into infinity. Only by working with this law positively will our dharma, that is to say, our personal obligation to uphold the divine order of the universe, be fulfilled. This grand and awesome principle must be given its due if true happiness and wholesome living are to be attained. The law of cause and effect also is known as karma. For many in the West, karma only implies former actions that lead to present situations or further conditions. But the true definition of karma encompasses both past and present actions and their result. Karma literally means something done. It comes from the Sanskrit root kri, meaning to do. Karma combines present actions with influential past actions. Karmic memories are received via our subconscious, could be memories of good or bad experiences of this or former incarnations. They also may include remembrances of our eternal Christ nature and light body experiences. Memories of high self-demonstration are always good and positively guide our lives. Because karma is one of God's divine laws that serve a divine purpose, it should not be thought of only as a form of bondage or something totally negative from which one seeks to be released, as some Eastern philosophies espouse, for there is such a thing as positive karma. In a channeled question and answer session on October 25, 1960, Jesus relayed this information on cause and effect. The law of the universe is scientific. The law of the universe is what all science tries to discover. The basic law of the universe is cause and effect. What you sow, you shall reap. Men have mistaken it. Only in a spiritual sense have they interpreted and left it to religions. In some case, they have discovered this law in their physical science. However, it is true in every realm and every way. As soon as man learns this unbreakable law, he evolves to the next higher step in evolution. It is through this understanding that he stops making mistakes, because then he knows he must reap that error if he plants it. Then he begins to plant only good, so he can reap only good. This is what Moses brought. This is what Buddha and Krishna and every great teacher brought to man. This is what I, Jesus of Nazareth, brought. Man has ignored it, but you cannot separate science from this divine law. It is one and the same. Isaac Newton, born in 1642 in England, is widely regarded as the greatest scientist of all time. One of his works, Principia, is considered the greatest scientific work ever written. Rather less well known is that he wrought far more about theological and alchemical matters than about mathematics and physics. The law of physics that most directly describes the law of cause and effect is Newton's third law of motion. In short, it says that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton called the two phases of the law single force, action and reaction forces. He also understood that in terms of physical matter, it was impossible to have one without the other, and that either force could equally be called active or reactive. The only scientist to refine and add to this law appreciably was Albert Einstein, the originator of the theory of relativity. He is regarded as the greatest scientist in modern times. In Ideas and Opinions, a book of his collected writings, Einstein wrote, "You will hardly find one among the profounder sort of scientific minds without a religious feeling of his own. The scientist is possessed by the sense of universal causation. The future to him is every whit as necessary and determined in the sense of having an exact reason or cause as the past. His religious feeling takes the form of a rapturous amazement at the harmony of natural law, which reveals an intelligence of such superiority that, compared with it, all the systematic thinking and acting of human beings is an utterly insignificant reflection." Positivism, materialism, and scientism, known also as reductionism and physicalism, are philosophical systems that use the finding of physical science as the only true source of information to explain reality. These philosophies and sciences, therefore, are limited to what and how much matter and energy can be measured by present technology. In these approaches, causation and its effects are confined to physical, material reality. The great religions and metaphysicians throughout history have contributed to our knowledge of the law of cause and effect by showing how this law works in the presently immeasurable thought realms. In the first chapters of the Dhammapada, which means Path of Dharma, or path of divine order. The Buddha says, "Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think." The 10th commandment revealed to Moses is not to covet, not to envy that which is not rightfully ours. Coveting is not a physical act. It is an intention, a mental and emotional activity which causes bad effects. During the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said of the 7th commandment, "Anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." To emphasize this point, he next referred to the 10th law, saying, "If your right eye should cause you to stumble, pluck it out." This is an Aramaic idiom that means to stop envying. By saying these things, Jesus revealed that all of the laws of Moses, which were thought to pertain only to physical acts, murder, adultery, theft, lying, were equally valid, prohibited law in the unseen realm of thoughts and emotions. Not only does the law of cause and effect work on every level of our being, physical, emotional, soul, mental, and spiritual, it also works directly and indirectly. Jesus said, "If you forgive men their faults, your Father in heaven will also forgive you. But if you not forgive men, neither will your Father forgive even your faults." He also said, "Every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, neither can a bad tree bear good fruit." These statements describe how cause and effect works directly. Sananda Jesus speaks of the indirect workings of the karma in his channeling on February 6, 1974. If one fails in any degree to live up to this greatest expectation, that is, the I Am consciousness, then all who are involved with the individual, seen or unseen, present or not present, are going to suffer diametrically. That means on a bias. It is part of the law of cause and effect which eventually you will learn. It is not in direct opposition that you suffer, but in a bias or perpendicular manner. All karma is diametrically opposed or in a bias to that which appears to be the condition. You wish to relate things in a one-to-one basis, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Karma does not work in that mathematical manner, but in this diametrically biased manner. Remember, we are one race of mankind. Not only do we evolve individually and contend with our own karma, but we evolve collectively in groups and in societies. Therefore, we must contend with the consequence of group or race karma. There is a common saying in the consciousness-only school of Buddhism that a seed produces a manifestation perfumes a seed, and the three elements, seed, manifestation, perfuming, turn on and on. The cause and effect occur at one and the same time. As with Newton's description, this saying holds that the interplay forces in cause and effect are unified. Again, it affirms one law. Straightforward actions and reactions are ever perfumed by indirect karma, or own or others, from the past or present, either good or bad, which influences everyday decision and responses. This cosmic law has another aspect to it. As far as I know, this has not been introduced into man's collective consciousness by any religion or philosophy, major or minor. On August 13, 1963, Glo Raya channeled, "Nothing is spared from the divine laws of cause and effect." When Moses said an eye for an eye, he did not mean it literally in the sense that what has been taken to mean, although it works as finely as that. If you have transgressed in some degree while on earth, and it is not likely that you can gain the best lesson in earth frequency or astral vibration to remedy that situation, a life sojourn on another planet, even in a more harmonious and happy circumstance, is allotted to you, provided it is felt by spirit within you that the lesson will be well learned. It does not mean that for every transgression you must suffer mortal burning and hatred and feeling of remorse, regret, and guilt. It does mean, however, that the lesson must be learned or realized. Sometimes you will be taken into another planet of a higher frequency and evolvement in order to teach the very lesson that you missed while here on earth. This way you are evolving back and forth, sometimes as a teacher, sometimes as a student, sometimes as a leader, sometimes as a follower. Never forget for one moment that you are Christ in action. You are the Son of God. You are Spirit in motion. You are divinely inherited with power, understanding, love, and infinite knowledge. When you have taken on form, regardless of what vibration it may be, but let us say on earth vibration, and transgress the natural laws, and thereby set up an effect for yourself that must be corrected, it does not necessarily mean that you will return to the same place and go through the exact experience or a similar experience in order to learn that lesson. You are perfectly capable of going back into the Christ consciousness, projecting a form on another planet, and having to teach the same lesson to someone else, whereby, in teaching that lesson, you become quite conscious of how it does affect all life and all form. Given this information, Jesus' admonition not to judge others becomes keenly significant. Judge not, that you may not be judged. For with that same judgment that you judge, you will be judged, and with the same measure with which you measure, you will be measured to you. Rather than harshly judging the faults and errors of others, and thereby perhaps causing one to desire to retaliate or exact retribution, let us wisely remember the law of love as we live the law of cause and effect. Judgment is best left to spirit. Our work is to help man's agony come to an end. As Gautama Buddha said, "For hatred can never put an end to hatred. Love alone can. This is an unalterable law." People forget that their lives will end soon. For those who remember, quarrels come to an end. Let us learn to end our quarrels, so that by an example all humanity can step into the next higher level of evolution. Let our cause always be love, so that our effect will also be love. End of chapter.